if the AI knows things that you don't think it should know, that's creepy. So we let it know what it knows. We tell you transparently what it knows, and we allow you to select tools and add additional context. Here are the files I want to talk to you about. It's like if you go into a reference librarian, a good way to think about Copilot is as a reference librarian. You don't just roll in with a question. You roll in with your little manila notebook. You open it up and you go, here's the research I've done. Can you help me go and find people to help me augment this research? So here I've asked Copilot to help me understand the code on the side here. And it's explaining to me. I've effectively generated a book. Okay, so now that's cool, comma, but here's the deal. I'm about to do a code review and I'm freaked out because I'm just a junior engineer, period. I don't think I quite understand async and await, and I'm worried my boss won't think the code review is good, period. Can you explain those concepts and help me prepare for my code review?
Well said.
Because that's a thing that an early in career engineer is not going to want to talk about. Because they're feeling like but we keep selling them like they should just generate more code. They should be also learning. Oh, wow, this is cool. I'll help you understand this. And now it wants to run a tool because I'm in an Azure application. It needs arms and legs. And in order to, it needs permission to walk. So here it says, I want to run this tool, which is not part of GitHub Copilot. It's a tool that will go and get best practices. So it wants to sign in to GitHub now. So it's running a tool to ask Azure if there's any best practices in order to understand this. And this is part of what's called tool calling, right? Because the AI is just based on this large language model, but it has no feet. It can't touch my file system. It can't do anything. So here it's gone and called Azure and got some best practices. And now it's going to go and talk to me all about, looking at your specific code. Here's what's going on. Async is being called for API calls. Here's how it works.
And this calling function, this is just part of the base package that you get with this product?
Yeah, and you're going to hear a lot about this because the idea would be, let's use the reference librarian as an example. You go to a reference librarian, they're not a genius on the topic. They're a reference librarian. But the great thing about reference librarians is they know people. Right? So tool calling is not that GitHub Copilot is an expert. It's a reference librarian. And it's like, well, I know a guy who knows about Azure, and I know a gal who knows about Docker. So I'm going to go and talk to the Azure person and talk to the Docker person. I will then collate and collect the information back from the reference, and then I'll give you the result. So we have a coordinating AI that then goes and talks to these different other things. So here are some of the things that like GitHub Copilot for Azure can do. So I can ask it questions about my Azure. It's not doing it. It's asking the Azure app to do it. And then if I added another one, I could add Docker, or I could add my file system. I could add M365, like however you want. Isn't that cool?
Are you seeing, like at your events, I mean, is this the kind of stuff we'll be discussing at the build event? These kind of
and more interestingly would be how to write this, right? Because I can't just go to a large language model and say, tell me about my expense reports. I would need a tool called to do that. So partners could write an app. If you have an existing app now, imagine if you could expose that app, not as a web API, but as what's called an MCP server, which is one of these tools. And then your Copilot would say, like let's say Brendan's got a Brendan expense report tool, Brendan expense. Hey, ask Brendan expense if I have any outstanding expense reports. It would pop up, it would ask permission, you would sign into it just like you sign into any other app, and then it would act as your, not as a proxy. You would give it the ability to go and call that thing, just like we give M365 access now, and then bring that information back to you.